back to Katrina's Creations Knitting Podcast. Last week I wasn't here, as I had told you ahead of time. We had some family things, and what we actually did was we went out to Ohio to go see the grandbaby that was born on December 30th. He was almost a New Year's baby. So we went out to go get to see him and to see the other grandchildren. My son and daughter-in-law live out in Ohio. So it's about a 7.5 hour drive. So my husband drove and I knitted the entire time. So I had a great time out there seeing the grandchildren and my daughter-in-law and my son, and knitting to my heart's content the whole way out. We come back in the dark at nighttime just because the traffic's better and we make better time. So I wasn't able to knit on the way home, but I got lots done. So I don't have any finished objects, but I have a lot of progress on my works in progress, especially the Find Your Fade. So let me get to showing those to you now. I will start with the On the Spice Market. This is where I was last week, right there. And that's one of my stitch marker or progress keepers. So I am now halfway through the 5th color, and it has a 6th color that will come after that. So this is a little bit more pinkish, and then this one will be more purplish. They're close, but you can see the difference there. And this is my On the Spice Market. I didn't take this one with me. This one, the knitting that I did, I knit at midnight. I also have had some time at home to work on my Barton cardigan. And here's where it was last week. You can see it right there. And so I've done about 1.5 inches. I just did the next cable right up here. So let me pull this so you can see it. So that is my Barton cardigan. And the thing that I took with me was my fade. And that's where I really did a lot of progress. I'm almost halfway through the second lace section, and then I start the striping to go into the sparkly yarn, which I'm really excited about. I'm looking forward to doing the sparkly. So here is where I was last week. I just had just the tail. And this is how much I have done. Let me hold it back here. That's how far I've gotten this week. And I'm up to about 120 some stitches going across at this point. And like I said, I'm on the lace section here, and then it'll go into striping where it actually melts into the next color. So got that much left. I had lots left of this first color. This one I don't think I'm going to have as much yarn left. And whatever I've got left, I'm putting into my Cozy Memories blanket. So I'm not actually even going to show you my Cozy Memories blanket this week because I've only put on like two squares. So it just seems a little redundant to show it to you week after week. I'll wait till I have some progress on it. Now the intro this morning that you saw, the intro to this video, was a dollhouse that my husband built for my granddaughter a couple years ago for her birthday. And I had one of these dolls from when I was a kid. I think it was called Dynamite. She's about maybe 7 inches tall. So the clothes that you saw that she was wearing in the little dollhouse, my husband built the little, basically like an oversized shoebox with windows and a door. And then she and I painted it together, and I made the furniture out of plastic canvas. Yeah, there is a use for plastic canvas. I had some of that, and I thought, well, that would be easy enough to make furniture out of. And then I knitted the clothes for her to fit. So that's what those pictures are. And you might wonder, well, why am I doing all these things with doll clothes? The book review that I was going to do this week is a book. It's a series about a lady who does miniatures, and the main character's name is Jerry Porter, and she's a former teacher. This is the latest book. I just finished reading this. And I think there is, let me think, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There is 9 books in this series, and she and her granddaughter end up solving murder mysteries. Her granddaughter's like 11, but she's like a computer whiz. And the grandmother, Jerry Porter, she has a craft group that she works with, and they all build these miniatures. And so it always gives like little miniatures tips in the back of how to do different things. It's a cute series, and it's nice because I like the interplay between the grandmother and the granddaughter, because it reminds me of me with my grandkids. So, and the interesting thing with this is she lives in an Eichler home. And if you don't know what an Eichler home is, you can Google it. But it's a mid-century modern home. They were built out in California, I think, mainly, with a lot of glass and the slanted roofs. And they had like a center atrium, like courtyard, and then the house was built around it. They were kind of neat. I don't like mid-century modern furniture, but I like the mid-century modern architecture. So that kind of plays a part in the story too, because she talks about living in this Eichler house and how she lives in a whole neighborhood of Eichler houses. So anyway, that is what prompted me to do a whole theme this week about the Barbie dolls and knitting for Barbie and all that type of thing. So I'm going to show you some of the things that I've made for Barbie. Actually, in preparing for this, I was digging through some of my old Barbie clothes, and when I was a kid, my mother made me, the Barbie doll clothes were expensive even back then, so my mother made almost all of my Barbie clothes. I cannot imagine sewing something this tiny on some of the, on a sewing machine, but this was my favorite, so I thought I would show you. And these are like almost 50 years old. It's a wonder they're even surviving. They got a lot of love. But this is a little strapless gown with even slits on the side. Look at this itty bitty zipper. It's like all of 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches long. I can't even imagine. This used to have a jacket that went to it. It was very Jackie Kennedy-ish in its day. And I was a majorette when I was a kid. This was one of my costumes, and it's got sparkles in it. You can see it. And my mother made all of my majorette costumes when I was a kid as well, and I would go into competition, and this was my favorite one. And it had the back of it where my bottom was, because I was only like 4 years old at the time, had silver fringe along the back. So anyway, this was my favorite outfit, and it actually has survived. And then I've got to show you this one. This was also a favorite just because I like circular skirts. This would have been made in like the mid-60s. I was born in 62, so I was playing with them in the mid to late 60s. But look at the little circular skirt. And these Barbie dolls are not from when I was a kid. Most of those got destroyed by the time my kids played with them. But a few years ago, I was at an auction, and they had an entire box of like 32 Barbie dolls that have had some interesting haircuts. Yeah, but they were like, I got it for $5. So I went through and I sold some of them on eBay to get my $5 back. And then I picked through a couple to have on hand when my granddaughters came over, so they had a doll to play with. And then the rest of them I stuck in a box and gave to my granddaughter and said, take what you want out of it, share them with your friends, just have fun. So they went home with a whole like herd of Barbie dolls to play with and to share and just have some fun with it. So I started making some Barbie clothes. I've made these a while back, and you may think, why would I make Barbie clothes? It's sort of about as interesting as making these cozy memory blankets. It doesn't take much yarn to do, and it's just kind of fun to see how creative you can be. So let me show you this. This is a close-up of the sweater. As you can see, it's got cables on it, like right in here. And you can see them on this side too, cables. The little buttons are just beads. So that is, there's the back. You can see the cables even better there, and they're just 1/over cables. And let me show you, there's 2 dresses. These dresses I got out of a book. They're very simple. It's just a bunch of short bows. I'll hold it back here. You maybe see a little bit better. And then it just slips on in the back. I didn't put sleeves on these just because it was just a little too tedious. And then I have another one here in yellow. It's really showing shocking yellow, but it's actually a gold. And then I made this sweater, and this is also a lot of cables, and you can see. And no, I don't use a cable needle when I do this. I really don't need to. It's just a 1/over stitch. You just basically take and do both stitches and then pop them off the needle. And it even has like banding around the bottom here, the ribbing stitches. And then here's the front. There's no buttonholes. These don't really button up. They're just for looks. And again, the buttons that were made with little pearl. You can see them right along here. They're just made with little pearls. Now, I'd like to say I was this creative that I came up with these patterns on my own, but I am not. I'm not that creative. I actually, I ordered some books from the library. I was hoping to be able to show them to you. They are out of print, and I had to order them from somewhere else in the state because our library system, the books don't even exist anymore. You can get them from Amazon. I checked. They're still available on Amazon and on eBay. 3 of them were written by the same lady. Her name is Nikki Epstein, or Epstein. And there is Barbie Doll and Me, Knits for Barbie Doll, and then there is Crochet for Barbie Doll. So if you're a crocheter instead of a knitter, there are actually patterns for that as well. They're all done by the same lady. Like I said, her name is Nikki Epstein. And I'll put the information in a down bar here so you can see the titles. There's also some free ones online that you can use. One is called bestbarbieknitsblogspot.com. And again, I'll put the information down below. And then there's another one called Barbie Basics. And it is free knits, and it's a PDF, and you can download that and do patterns as well. So they're just kind of fun. Even, you know, I don't play with Barbie dolls, but it is fun to knit them up. So when my granddaughter comes over, I've got clothes for her to dress the Barbies in, and it was just fun to try to be creative with using scraps and just to see how inventive I could be with the beads and, you know, things like that. I made one of the books, I forget which one it is. It's one of the ones by Nikki Epstein. I think it is the Knits for Barbie Doll. There is a gorgeous bridal dress in it. I didn't think to ask my granddaughter if I could borrow it and show it to you. It took me 20 some hours to make. It was very, very detailed. You made it with the type of threads you do doilies with. And it had a lot of yarn overs. It kind of looked like petals. The skirt looked like petals. But the bodice had yarn overs in some strategic locations. My yarn overs came out a little too big. So, needless to say, Barbie's doll was a little peekaboo. So I had to put some ribbon. I threaded ribbon up through the dress and just put some bows and things like that to hide some of the yarn overs that didn't quite fall in the right place. So I'm also going to insert, you may be wondering, you know, with this cozy mystery that I shared with you, why I'm interested in miniatures. I just think it's interesting and fascinating to see what I can do with little bits and pieces of things. So I actually do have a dollhouse. I made it, I guess it's been about maybe 15 years ago, maybe even longer. Probably around 15, 16 years ago, something like that. So I do have a dollhouse, and my one granddaughter is old enough now that when she comes over, I do let her play with it and decorate it and move the furniture around. My other granddaughter's too young yet. So I will insert a picture of that right about here. And then I thought I would share with you as well something that I got at work the other day. They had somebody donate to the library an entire room full of craft books. I don't know if somebody died or what the situation was, but I mean, they were nice, really nice craft books. So I work in the administration building, so everything that comes in, I get to see the very first. All the books are lined against the wall when I come in, so I get to see what's new and what's coming out. And they had sent us this email that the library had gone through this collection. They had taken everything that they were interested in putting back into the system. In other words, they were going to actually input these books. Some of them were in really, really good shape, and they thought people would enjoy checking them out, so they actually put them into the system. But then there was some that were left, and those they were going to put up for sale so that the proceeds would then go back into the library system. So they were selling them for, book sales. If you want to find, I've found all kinds of craft books. If you want to find craft books for cheap, go to library book sales. They sell hardback books for about 50 cents a piece where I'm at. And I know a lot of areas do that. They pull things that aren't circulating or that are a little out of date. And I've gotten, I think, a good majority of the books that I have on knitting I've gotten from library sales. In fact, I have an Alice Starmore it's a Fair Isle knit book, and I got that from a library book sale. Sorry, I gotta take a drink of tea. My husband and I are sharing this cold that's been going around. We just keep passing it back and forth. We're very close, apparently. So let me show you these two books that I got, because I just thought they were pretty cool. One is knitting, one is not. This is Sewing Packs, Pouches, Seats, and Sacks. And I just thought it was kind of fascinating. I like this right here, because I was thinking I could put knitting needles in that, or crochet hooks, something like that. I've made something like this before, but I saw this and I thought, I wonder how I can incorporate this into some project bags. So it is written by Betty Oppenheimer, and it's 30 practical projects. And this book is brand new. It's put out by Storybooks. You can go to www.story.com. And it looks like they put out a whole series, but this just looked like it would be interesting. And then they had a whole series of these. They're like a box, and it's a magnetic strip along here, and I just dropped them out of it. But they have cards in them. The one that I have is a little box of knitted throws, and it is put out by Martingale and Company. It doesn't have an actual designer, but it's all different types of cards, and the pattern is on the back. So it's pretty cool, and it looks like there's probably at least 20 different throws in here, all different patterns, and they're all knit. This almost looks like a Tunisian crochet. So just some really pretty patterns, and I'm not necessarily going to use them for throws, but I might use some of the patterns and incorporate them into sweaters or shawls or something like that. And there was apparently a whole series, because I saw they had little box of knitted scarves, little box of knitted this, little box of knitted that. So apparently it was a whole series that came out at the time. And it's nice because it's very portable. It's not like a whole book. You're just literally taking the card with you, and the card is laminated, so it is stiff, and it's nice. And on the back it shows you a close-up, and then of course the stitches. So yeah, I thought for 50 cents I could not go too far wrong with that. So I found that exciting. I do not have any acquisitions this week. This podcast is going to be really short this week, only because I'm afraid if I talk too long, I'm going to start coughing again. So I think that is about all I have. and I hope to see you again next week, not sounding like Kermit the Frog. So, I will talk to you again next Saturday, and I hope you have a great time. Bye.